y'all don't know this, y'all in danger, I'm a threat. Really, y'all don't know this, y'all in danger, I'm a threat. Threat, 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 threat. Really, y'all don't know this, y'all in danger, I'm a threat.
Hello and welcome to the 2023 IPF World Classic and Equipped Sub-Junior and Junior Powerlifting Championships. We have just wrapped up the Equipped lifting and we are about to start the Classic Championships right now. Kicking us off, we have the 53 kilo Sub-Junior and Junior lifters. Up here you can see the running order as it stands, heading into squats. I'm Amelia Potter, joined here today by Elias the Book. How are you doing, Elias?
I'm great. I've been witnessing a lot of great lifting, and we have a roster of quality lifters on the board. And I'm just excited to see what they will be doing today.
As am I. And kicking us off, we have from the United States, Derek Lee, 115 kilos. I did ask, it's no relation of Brian Lee, the other American athlete we have competing in the Opens.
And that is 3 white lights, good lift.
Georgia, with 120 kilograms. The bar is loaded. 18-year-old, 2 years competing.
We now have Andrea Mikautadze of Georgia, opening on 120 kilos, well above double body weight here for all of these openers.
Only 5 kg shy of his personal best. Let's see if he can move this well.
Wow, that was,
Olympic depth.
yeah, maybe the deepest squat I've seen so far this week, and maybe I will see all week. 3 white lights, a good lift. 53 kilos is the lightest men's weight class, and it does not continue past juniors. Once you are in the open, 59 kilos is the lightest you can compete at. We now have Faruk Tuna Ozcan of Turkey, opening on 125 kilos.
Five kilos below his personal best.
Moving nice and smooth there, a good lift.
Now, Mohamed Al-Zahid from Iran. Saudi Arabia, sorry. 18 years old, up to 1 year of competing. The bar is loaded.
We now have Mohamed Al-Zahid of Saudi Arabia, opening on 127.5 kilos. First athlete we've had from Saudi Arabia so far.
Only 10 kilos below his personal best. He was just adjusting the placement of the bar in the rack. as a lifter, you can ask the spotters to do that instead. Very controlled, searching for depth. Let's see what the referees have to say about that.
And it is a good lift. 3 white lights. Yeah, and you do see a different kind of approaches here. He was very tempoed and controlled on the way down. You see some athletes dive bomb it, where they go really quickly in and out of the hole. This technique usually holds up better across the 3 attempts, as you have better control of the weight.
And when we are talking about hitting depth, we mean the hip crease of the lifter needs to be below the top of the knee.
We now have Gavin Marg of the United States opening on 130 kilos. And again, another nice deep opener from Gavin. 3 white lights, a good lift.
Again, 130 kilograms for Jelashvili Georgi from Georgia. 17 years old, 2 years competing. The bar is loaded. Next, Lindbergh. Next, Georgescu.
We now have Georgi Jelashvili of Georgia, 130 kilos. Wow. Incredibly deep there. And 3 white lights, a good lift.
And now we'll have Lauri Lindbergh from Finland. 130 kilograms. The bar is loaded. 15 years old. 1 year of competing.
We now have Lauri Lindberg of Finland opening on 130 kilos, the heaviest opener in the sub-junior category.
He must be having the national record in Finland, because his personal best is 143 kg. And that was snappy.
Yeah, snappy indeed. And 2-1, a good lift. Just got called for depth from the center referee there. But let's get that side angle. Yeah, and he definitely walks the line. Not quite as deep as some of the lifters we've seen so far, but he is safe and to depth. We have now Andrei Georgescu of Romania, 140 kilos. And Andrei actually competed earlier in the week in the equipped championships as well. So competing again only 3 days later.
That looks good. And 3 white lights, good lift.
We now have Farhad Arifai of Kuwait, 147.5 kilos, our penultimate opener of this flight.
10 kilos below his personal best. Let's see how much progress he has made in the gym.
And it looks good. That was almost a triple body weight squat on his opener, and 3 white lights, a good lift.
21 years young, 1 year competing. 160 kilograms on the bar. That's what we're having with the second attempt. The bar is loaded.
We now have Kylian Valette of France, 160 kilos for his opening attempt. He's only been competing for 1 year and already leading the pack on projected totals in the 53 kilo juniors.
Already 5 kilos above his personal best. A bit of work, but gets up. And 3 white lights, good lift.
Yeah, I think he probably just sunk it a little bit extra there to make sure he was safe on his opener, but we know the French coaches are excellent at calling weights and putting in the next attempt.
Next full scan. The bar is loaded.
We move straight through to the second attempts, moving much quicker than the equipped as there's no equipment to deal with for the lifters. And first out we have Derek Lee of the United States, 125 kilos, a 10 kilo jump from his opener. Ooh, struggles a bit on the way up there. I think just sunk it into the hole a bit quickly and a bit deep. And he struggled to maintain that tension and power on the way up. He has another shot at that on his third attempt.
2.5 kilograms more than his max. The bar is loaded.
But yeah, could just be too heavy for him. Let's see if he can control that better on his third.
It was a pretty big jump from his opener.
Yeah, especially for this weight class. You have Andrea Mikautadze of Georgia, 127.5 kilos, a 7.5 kilo jump from his opener.
And if he gets this, he improves his own personal best by 2.5 kilos. Really deep.
Yeah, absolutely unbelievable. And
Almost touches the floor.
yeah, 3 white lights, a good lift. I'm sure you can even get a better angle of that from the side. Even from the front, it looked super deep. Wow, that I think is the deepest you can physically go, especially with weight on your back. And the trade-off for that, of course, is it is harder to move weight from that lower position. It is a good lift. We now have Faruk Tuna Özkan of Turkey. $132.5 kilos. 7.5 kilo jump from his opener.
And just like that, he improved his own personal best. 2-1, I was almost too fast.
Yeah, a depth call there from the right-hand side referee. We'll get a replay here, but from the side that got a white.
That really looked good to me.
Yeah, of course, this is the side that got
Yeah.
a white, but I think what happened is his hip shot back, and it happened so quickly that maybe it gave the illusion that it wasn't quite deep enough.
The referees need to take a split-second decision, of course. We have the comfort of looking at the replay.
We now have Gavin Marg of the United States, 132.5, a 2.5 kilo jump from his first to second. This is the smallest increment you can take, unless it is a record. And it seems sensible. A good looking second attempt from Gavin, and 3 white lights.
And just like that, you keep building momentum. You keep adding chips to your total. There's no point in attempting a weight you cannot hit and lose the extra kilos you could have had.
We now have Mohammed Al Zahid of Saudi Arabia jumping 10 kilos to 137.5. As we said before, this is a significant weight considering that these athletes weigh below 53 kilos. This is just about a fifth of their body weight that he's jumping.
Let's see what the referees have to say.
Just waiting here. 2-1, a good lift.
Now we are going for Georgi Gelashvili from Georgia.
You can just see from the side that got the red there in the replay.
The bar is loaded.
We now have Georgi Gelashvili of Georgia, 137.5 kilos, a 7.5 kilo jump.
That looked nice. Also very deep. 3 white lights, good lift.
Yeah, I mean, squatting that deep, if you manage to get it up, that's really the biggest problem you face. You know that you're not going to get called for depth. And if he did get called for depth, I think I would kick off personally.
Next, Georgescu, and next, Al Refai.
We have Lori Lindberg of Finland, 140 kilos and only 15 years old. Weighed in at 53 kilos on the dot.
It was a bit more work than the first one, but manages to just push through. And it paid off because it is a 3 white light, good lift. And they are having a discussion what jump they should take now. What do you think, Amelia?
I think it's well worth taking a conservative jump there. Maybe 5 kilos for him, 2.5 if you're playing it safe. We have Andrei Georgescu of Romania, 145 kilos for his second attempt. Very speedy there. And 2-1, a good lift, just gets called on depth from the right-hand side referee.
Al Refai from Kuwait with 155 kilograms.
I think he looks safe and in there.
The bar is loaded. Next, Valete, and next, the third attempt, starting with the Derek from the United States.
Fahad Arifai of Kuwait, 155 kilos for his second attempt, jumping 7.5 from his opener. 10 kilos behind Valette on projected total, so it's going to be really close there. And then just 10 kilos ahead of Georgescu, who's sitting in bronze.
Only 2.5 kilos beneath his personal best. He's fighting.
And it looked a little bit hard there. And unfortunately, it is a no lift. He gets 2 blues from the center and side referee and a yellow from the left-hand side referee. Really unfortunate there, but has a third attempt to come back and get that. Our final second attempts now from Kylian Valette of France, 167.5 kilos, a 7.5 kilo jump from his opener.
And it is a bit more work than his opener, but he can push through. And it's a 3 white light, good lift.
Yeah, sinks it really deep there. And I think maybe a 2.5 kilo jump would be the safe call to his third. What do you reckon?
I think he does not have much more in the tank than that. And if he wants to stay in the lead, he should make sensible jumps. But I know Team France makes perfect calls. So I have faith in what they choose.
Let's hope they do. And it looks like they have gone up 2.5 kilos there. But we are straight through to the third attempt, and we have Derek Lee of the United States missed 125 on his second attempt, looking to get that now on his third. It was a 10-kilo jump from his opener. Ooh, but unfortunately, it's just a little bit too much of a jump for him today. And as I mentioned, a 10-kilo jump for a 53-kilo lifter is almost a 10% of their body weight.
20%.
20%, sorry. That's what I meant to say. My
Quick math.
brain and my mouth just didn't agree with each other. We have Andrea Mikautadze of Georgia jumping 2.5 kilos to 130 for his final attempt. I think this is a smart decision considering how deep Andrea squats.
And in the end, you will see it pays off to take smaller jumps and make them than take higher jumps and miss them.
Ooh, unfortunately, not quite there. And he doesn't lose out too much on it. But of course, he is just 5 kilos away behind first place overall, which is Ozcan.
5 kilograms more than his lower squat personal best.
And here he is, Faruk Tuna Ozcan of Turkey, 137.5 kilos. A 5-kilo jump.
And he looks confident. He's trying to intimidate the bar, saying, I am going to squat you, you better comply or we're gonna have problems.
And he's going to want these extra kilos because it's such a tight race between the top 3 here in these sub-juniors.
And he's pushing through. He made a wise jump, not to overdo it. And he has added 5 kilos to his total and furthers his lead.
Yeah,
3 white lights, good lift.
That's going to be important moving forward, as his deadlift is similar to Azahid's but below Mikautadze's, so it'll come down to the wire, I think. Now, though, we have Gavin Marg of the United States jumping 5 kilos to 137.5 for his final attempt. He is heavier than Ozcan, so won't take squat bronze from him. He's fighting through. Ooh.
That looked like they took it a bit early.
Yeah, that looked a bit preemptive to me, but let's catch the replay because sometimes we do miss the slight downwards movement. And I think the jury are perhaps looking out for that as well.
I did not see him go down. He tipped a little bit, but the bar did not go down.
But obviously the spotters and loaders have the best interest of the lifter, and the American team didn't come out to speak to the jury about it. We now have Mohammed Al-Zahid of Saudi Arabia jumping 2.5 kilos to 140, and this will move him into squat gold for the time being, with Jelashvili and Lindbergh to follow. Unfortunately, not quite there for him. I have seen the American coach come speak to the jury about that, and they seem to be discussing it, and we will keep you in the loop of what happens.
And I think he will be getting
And first up we have Georgi Gelashvili of Georgia, 142.5 kilos.
And that looks like a nice squat. 3 white lights, good lift.
Yeah, a great way to finish the squats for him there. And a fantastic effort. It's come to our attention as well that Gavin Marg, we were worried that they took it preemptively, and it has been given a 4th attempt at the same weight, and he will come at the end of the flight following Kilian Valette. So he has another attempt at that, should he want to take it.
But Amelia, what do you think? So he did not get his 3rd, and he put a lot of effort into it. Should he go for his 4th?
I will answer that very briefly after this. Andrei Georgescu, Romania, 147.5, and an excellent call to jump 2.5 there, I think. 3 white lights, a good lift. Now, obviously, that kind of emptied the tank for Gavin a bit. And, you know, you definitely want to maintain some energy heading into bench, and especially deadlifts. He's not fighting for placement, so, you know, perhaps it's not worthwhile unless he thinks he can definitely get it. We now have Lauri Lindberg of Finland jumping 7.5 kilos to 147.5. Still a pretty sizable jump between his 2nd and 3rd there, and this will move him into squat gold in the 53 kilo sub-junior class. And he stands it up, gets the rack command, and the referees say, unfortunately, it's just not deep enough. He still walks away with squat silver, however, with Gelashvili in gold ahead of him. We have now 3 squats remaining before we head to a 20-minute break. First up, we have Farhad Arifai of Kuwait, retaking 155 kilos. Missed it on his 2nd and is now reattempting it on his 3rd.
Trying to get an extra tight position underneath that bar. It looks better.
Yeah, and wow, he manages to push through that sticking point.
I'm not completely sure about depth, and the referees, the side referees give a yellow.
Yeah, let's just watch that back here. I think he might have had his elbows resting on his thighs
Supporting,
there,
yeah.
which I believe is what the yellow was for. Unfortunately, you cannot support your elbows pushing into your thighs as it helps you in picking the squat up. Now we have our heaviest squat of the session. We have Kilian Valette of France making the sensible decision to jump 2.5 kilos to 170 for his 3rd and final attempt, looking to further the gap ahead of Arifai.
A sensible jump, and hopefully he can keep it tidy.
Ooh, but unfortunately can't quite fight through it. It was the smallest jump he could make, and I think that extreme depth that he has, the payoff for that, as we have said, is the strength. And as you can hear the crowd roar, we have Gavin Marg retaking the 137.5 that the spotters stole from him a little too early. They were just trying to keep him safe, but nonetheless they took it too early. He is coming out for it now. So This will move him into squat. This won't move him into squat gold. Please ignore the graphic on screen. But it will add 5 kilos to his total. This is his second attempt at this weight. But unfortunately, his energy is zapped, and it's not there today for him. That concludes our squats for this 53 kilo session. We'll be taking a 20-minute break before heading into bench. But beforehand, let's summarize what we've seen so far. Walking away with squat gold in the sub-juniors, we have Georgi Jelashvili of Georgia. In silver, we have Lori Lindberg of Finland. And in bronze, we have Faruk Tuna Özkan of Turkey. In the juniors, we have Kilian Valette of France walking away with gold, Fahad Al-Rafai of Kuwait walking away with silver, and Andrei Georgescu of Romania walking away with bronze. We will be taking a 20-minute break now before heading into bench press. Don't go anywhere, we will see you then.
don't notice y'all in danger, I'm a threat. Philly, y'all don't notice y'all in danger, I'm a threat. Threat, 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 threat. Philly, y'all don't notice y'all in danger, I'm a threat.
Hello and welcome back to the IPF World Classic Sub-Junior and Junior Powerlifting Championships here in Cluj-Napoca, Romania. I'm Amelia Potter, joined here by Elias de Book.
Good afternoon, or should I say good evening?
Yes, it is evening. It is 6 o'clock here local time, and we are just heading into the first classic bench press of the championships in the 53 kilo sub-junior and junior men. And kicking us off, we have Gavin Marg of the United States, opening with 60 kilos. The world records in the sub-junior bench press is 120 kilos, and in the juniors is 130 kilos. First up, Gavin Marg, 60 kilos for his opening attempt.
12.5 kilos beneath his personal best. Is he trying to take a conservative opener? And it looks like it.
And that's a good lift. I think that seemed about right to maybe add 10 to 12 kilos on top of that overall over the next couple of lifts.
Yeah, like 2 to 5 kilo jumps maybe.
Yeah. It's quite a close grip, so there's a long distance to go. The triceps are doing a lot of work, and the brakes can come on pretty quickly. We now have Derek Lee of the United States opening on 80 kilos.
He is being told you cannot enter the bench from the back. You need to go up front. 7.5 kilos below his personal best.
Very close grip there.
A long way up.
And it is a good lift for Derek. 3 white lights. The close grip, I like to say, is the conventional of bench press. The brakes come on hard and fast, and this is where you see the sticking point, and I think that's where we'll see it grow as the weight gets heavier.
So as a coach, what would your recommendation be to jump to right now?
I'd say a conservative 2.5 to 5 kilo jump. It's still a considerable amount of their body weight they're jumping.
Looking at Lori giving precise instructions.
Yep, we have Lori Lindberg of Finland, 85 kilos for his opening attempt. Just 15 years of age.
And we see wide grip now. And it flies up. And the referees say it is a good lift, 3 white lights.
Now we're preparing for Fahad Al-Rifai from Kuwait, 87.5 kilograms.
Yeah, perfect borderline elbow depth there. Obviously, a new rule we've seen come in this year is elbow depth on bench. So the elbow has to be in line or below the top of the shoulder, or the middle of the shoulder, sorry, the shoulder joint. We now have Fahad Al-Rifai of Kuwait, 87.5 kilos.
only 2.5 kilos below his personal best. So is this a high opener, or has training been that good? It is a bit of work. I don't see an enormous amount of room, but nevertheless, 3 white lights, and it is a good lift.
87.5 kilograms. The bar is ready. Next, Oskan is preparing Al Zahid.
We now have Andrei Georgescu of Romania, 87.5 kilos, competed earlier in the week, equipped.
Twelve and a half kilos beneath his personal best. And that was a conservative opener. I can definitely see some more kilos in the tank. 3 white lights, good lift.
From Turkey, 87.5 kilograms. The bar is
Yeah, as
loaded.
we say, the last problem you want to have is opening too heavy and struggling to get an opener in. We now have Faruk Tuna Ozkan of Turkey, 87.5 kilos.
Also 12.5 kilos beneath his personal best.
Yep, and it is a nice looking opener for Faruk. And a good lift, 3 white lights.
Now we're heading for Al Zahid Mohammed from Saudi Arabia.
Leaves him
87.5
a
kilograms.
good place to be able to jump for his second
Next, we
and
come
energy
Valse.
for his third.
Next,
It's
Valete.
important to remember they still have 2 bench attempts after this to build on. You don't want to gas out on your opener. We now have Mohammed Al Zahid of Saudi Arabia, 87.5 kilos. Been competing less than 1 year.
And he is opening 10 kilos below his personal best.
I'm not sure if I saw him put his feet up on the bench there. And I'm hoping I didn't, as that's a new rule where you can't put your feet up to set up on the bench.
And that was a nice looking opener. 3 white lights. The judges like it. 3 white lights, good lift.
Yeah, that is a good lift. He must have just hovered them above.
Next, Valete.
And it is a good lift. We have now Andrea Mikhail Tadze of Georgia, 90
He
kilos.
is instructing, I don't want a lift off, I'ma do it myself. I did see his hips shooting up. Let's see what the referees think.
And 3 white lights, a good lift. Yeah, I mean, his hips can move, but as long as his glutes stay on the bench, which they did, he'll
That's
be
true.
all right. But sinks it really quickly into his chest and drives it up. Perhaps wants to control that a little bit more because it's looking difficult. And it will only be harder as the weight goes up.
Heading for the second attempt.
We now have Kylian Valette of France opening on 100 kilos. The heaviest bench opener in the juniors.
Only 3 kilos below his personal best, and that indicates he must have a national record.
Ooh, and it looks a little slower than you'd like your opener to move, but nonetheless, he locks it out, and it is a good lift.
Not sure how much room he still has left.
Yeah, I think perhaps making a conservative jump there.
And if you look at his hands, he's not very even on the bar.
We now have our final opening attempt from Georgi Gelashvili of Georgia with 100 kilos in the sub-junior category.
His personal best is 117, which indicates it's also a national record. And he has some room left in the tank. It flies up, and it is a 3 white light, good lift.
Yeah, I think that was one of our cleanest looking openers we've had. But luckily, every single lifter got an opener in, which means they're that much closer to securing a total. We move straight through to our second attempt, where they can now add to their total that they've secured just that bit more until deadlifts. First up, we have Gavin Mag of the United States jumping 5 kilos to 65 for his second attempt. I think this will be a common jump we'll see from first to second in this flight.
A bit of work off the chest, but then accelerates once he gets past that sticking point. And the referees say it's a good lift to the one. He gets one yellow from the left side. Not entirely sure why.
But the jury seem happy, so it is a good lift. And it's funny that it slowed down off the chest, then sped up, because with close grip, it's usually the opposite way around. We now have his teammate, Derek Lee of the United States, 85 kilos. A 5 kilo jump from his opener. He was told beforehand he can't walk around the back of the bench, so this time just pulls himself through from the front to set up. And he gets it up. I think he met the command there just in
He
the
anticipated.
Yeah, and 2-1, a good lift. He gets a yellow from the center referee for jumping the command, but the two side referees seem to think he met the command. Often lifters wait to hear the P for press, but sometimes if the head ref stutters, then you're in trouble. We now have Fahad Aurafe of Kuwait, 92.5 kilos, a 5 kilo jump from his opener.
This would be a 2.5 kilo increase to his personal best.
Nice controlled descent. And
Unfortunately, it was a bit too heavy.
yeah, I did think that a 5 kilo jump perhaps was a tad ambitious, as his opener was slightly difficult, and obviously 5 kilos for these 53 kilo men is just under 5% of their body weight. 10% of their body weight, sorry. We now have Andrei Georgescu of Romania, 92.5 kilos. And the race in the 53 kilo juniors is pretty tight.
And with that, he secured, so far, second place in bench press.
Yeah, he is 50 grams lighter or heavier than Aurafe. We now have Faruk Tunojkan of Turkey jumping 5 kilo to 92.5.
And he is just trying to make sure kilos are being added to his total as the race is tied for first place. Only 2.5 kilos between first and fourth.
Ooh,
And it
a
moves.
yeah, a nice speedy second attempt there, and a good lift. And I think out of the first and second attempts that we've seen, that has been one of the better moving, which bodes really well for him considering there's still third attempts. And as you mentioned just now, it's so close between first and fourth. Barely a hair splits them apart. We now have Mohammed Azahid of Saudi Arabia, 92.5 kilos, a 5 kilo jump from his opener.
A little bit hesitant off the chest, but after that it flies up. 3 white lights, good lift.
Yeah, and again, that moved really nicely for a second attempt, leaving some room in the tank. And he is one of the 4 in contention for gold in the sub-juniors. So that's really going to come in handy. We now have Lori Lindberg of Finland jumping 7.5 kilos to 92.5. The biggest jump we've seen so far.
This is only 2.5 kilos below his personal best. Let's see if he can make it move today as well.
Wow.
And it's heavy, but he manages to push through.
Yeah, and it's 2-1, a good lift. He just gets a yellow call from the left-hand side referee, and I'm wondering if that's for his glutes lifting. Yeah, it does seem to lift there a tiny bit. And I can see the jury discussing it. And we'll keep you in the loop there. It doesn't seem for now that they're turning it over. We have Andrea Mikatadze, Georgia, 95 kilos, a 5 kilo jump from his opener. Again, another lifter in that tight race for first. Yeah, a good
And
catch from the spotters and loaders there, but just like his
say
opener, you know, he sunk it so quickly onto his chest, and we thought that would be troublesome for when the weight increased, and it was. He has a third attempt, and maybe if he can control it better to his chest, he has a better shot at it. But when you train like that, it's hard to change on the platform. We have Kylian Valette of France, 105 kilos for his second attempt. Went on the higher side of the jump that we thought he would take.
But maybe he will prove us wrong and say, hey, I got more in the tank even.
Absolutely, so much goes into this. Nerves, you know, arousal. It's well worth considering, and his hands seem a tiny bit more even this time. And he's pushing it through. Wow,
It is
a great
work.
effort.
His
Left is
right
looking
elbow
out.
is coming.
Wow,
What
can you
a
believe
fight.
that?
But take a look at the lights. The referees.
The anticipation is high. 3 white lights, fantastic. I don't think I've ever seen a bench grind quite like that. That must have
Maybe-
been 20 or 30 seconds.
Maybe from Pana.
I don't even know about that, but the French have it in them, apparently. And I'm not sure he has anything for his third, I must say, but very impressed he got that on his second. We now have our final second attempt. Georgi Jelevishli of Georgia, 107.5 kilos, a 7.5 kilo jump.
And that was speedy.
Yeah, still looking good there. And a good lift. Yeah, and as we would have expected, Valette has opted to not come out for a third bench, and I cannot blame him. That was the grind of a lifetime, and I'm just super impressed that he managed to do that with 3 white lights.
Followed by Al-Rafai.
We now have Gavin Mag of the United States, another 5 kilo jump, now to his third attempt, 70 kilos.
He does push through.
Wow, absolutely incredible. And 3 white lights, and all his lifts look hard, but he managed to push through every single one of them. And you don't get a medal for how easy your lifts look. So a fantastic job from Gavin there, especially after some drama in the squats.
This will meet his former PR. The bar is loaded. Next, Al-Rafai. Followed by Georgescu.
We now have Derek Lee of the United States, 87.5 kilos, a 2.5 kilo jump from his second. I think a sensible decision here from the American coaches.
And it looked like he paused it longer than he had to, but manages to squeeze it out. And it's a 3 white light, good lift.
Yeah, honestly, these men are really impressing me today with their ability to push through a difficult bench. They really perfectly called third attempt there for Lee.
2.5 more than his max. The bar is loaded. Next, we'll have Georgescu, followed by Mikaldadze. Let's cheer Fahad for his try for a low press.
We now have Farhad Arifai of Kuwait retaking 92.5 kilos. Just seemed a little bit too heavy for him in a second, but reattempting it now. And this will take him into bench press silver, as he is lighter than Georgescu for the time being.
Unfortunately, that was a bit too heavy. Just as his second attempt, his third attempt was too heavy as well.
Yeah, something that you can't fix in the warm-up room is strength. But I'm sure that is something he's going to come back for the next competition,
For the Romanian competitor.
which means he walks away with bench press bronze.
Followed by Al-Zahid.
We now have Andrei Georgescu of Romania jumping 2.5 kilos to 95. He already will be walking away with bench press silver, but this will keep the gap between him and Valette close. If he gets this, it will only be 10 kilos.
And he manages. It was a good fight. 3 white lights, good lift.
Yeah, and the gap is still staying tight into deadlifts. And I'm still so impressed with these third attempts because the seconds looked hard.
The bar is loaded. Next, Al-Zahid, followed by Lindbergh.
We now have Andrea Mikatadze of Georgia, 95 kilos. I'm not sure if he's coming out, however, as there's only 35 seconds left on the clock, and I can't seem to see him in the doorway. So I'm assuming he's letting the clock time out for his competitors to rest a little longer. And so in the meantime, I want to thank our sponsors, SBD and Aleco, for everything that they do. Without this, we wouldn't have any of this possible. It's absolutely amazing what they do for our sport, and we continue to see it grow. We have the Aleco bench, squat rack and platform, as well as plates and bars, and I'm sure you'll see many amazing singlets through the week.
Mikaldadze, Andrea, so no lift. Now we're welcoming Al Zahid,
And he has
from
timed
35
out. We move
kilograms.
through to the next
The
athlete.
bar is loaded. The bar is loaded for Mohamed Al Zahid at 95 kilograms. Only 2.5 kilograms from his max.
We now have Mohamed Azahid of Saudi Arabia jumping 2.5 kilos to
Next,
95
Ibrahim, followed by
for his
Osman.
third and final attempt. This will pull him from bench press bronze into silver, but more importantly, give them the kilos needed to stay in the fight for gold overall.
A long press command, but it didn't phase him. 3 white lights, good lift.
Yeah, and actually I don't think it was a long press command. I think he just held it in his chest, preparing himself to press it.
95 kilograms. The bar is loaded.
Does a really good job of that and keeps the gap tight between him and first. Lori Lindberg of Finland now, 95 kilos.
He says, when I nod, you can give it out.
This will move him into bench press bronze. For the time being.
Just too heavy.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
Yeah, not quite there today.
Now we're welcoming Özkan Farukuna from Turkey at 97.5 kilograms.
He still walks away with a squat medal, however.
Close to his personal best. The bar is loaded. Next we'll have Jalashvili Georgi. The last but
We
not
now have our penultimate bench attempt of this session before a 20-minute break before heading into deadlifts. Faruk Tuna Özkan of Turkey jumping 5 kilos to 97.5.
place here.
This will move him into bench press silver, and he is currently leading the pack by 2.5 kilos should he get this. Every kilo counts on every attempt in this flight.
and a great catch from the spotters. Keeping the lifters safe is top priority.
And that has made the race even closer heading into deadlifts. It's going to be really exciting. I'm sure we'll have many attempt changes and a deadlift battle. But first, we have our final bench press attempt from one of the contenders in that battle, Georgi Jelashvili of Georgia, jumping 2.5 kilos to 110. Already walking away with the squat gold and the bench gold. But wants those needed 2.5 kilos for when it comes to deadlifts.
And it was tough, but he was tougher. 3 white lights, good lift.
And that puts him in a great position heading into deadlifts. 2.5 kilos ahead of Özkan and 2.5 kilos ahead of Azahid.
Only a 2.5 kilo spread between first and third.
Before we head into a 20-minute break, a quick roundup of the bench. In the 53 kilo sub-junior category, walking away with gold, we have Georgi Jelashvili of Georgia. In silver, Mohamed Al-Zahid of Saudi Arabia. And in bronze, Faruk Tuna Özkan of Turkey. We will be taking a short 20-minute break now before deadlifts, where the big battle for gold will occur. Don't go anywhere. We will see you then.
don't know this, y'all in danger, I'm a threat. Philly, y'all don't know this, y'all in danger, I'm a threat. Threat, 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 threat. Philly, y'all don't know this, y'all in danger, I'm a threat.
Hello and welcome back to the IPF World Classic Sub-Junior and Junior Powerlifting Championships here in Cluj-Napoca, Romania, the capital of Transylvania. I am Amelia Potter, joined here by Elias de Boek.
How are you, Amelia? Good evening today. We have been looking at the squats and the bench press event for the 53s, sub juniors, and juniors, and we are now heading into the last and deadlift event.
Yes, and there is a tight race in the 53 kilo sub-juniors. There is very little between it, and it will come down to the wire. And it looks like Valette had a fake opener in and has put up to 180 kilos.
Multiple people have put
But
in a fake opener
yeah.
because the numbers on the board right now are not what they used to be.
Yeah, I think Georgescu did as well. But first up, we have Gavin Mark of the United States, 142.5 kilos for his opening attempt.
A bit of a strongman style right there. Rolling the bar close to his shins. But it was 20 kilos beneath his PR, and it shows. It's a good lift, 3 white lights.
145 kilograms on the bar. The bar is loaded. Next, Lindenberg, followed by Gelashvili.
Derek Lee of the United States now opening on 145 kilos.
15 kilos shy of his personal best.
Nice and patient off the floor, and a steady looking opener. 3 white lights, a good lift for Derek.
Lauri Lindberg from Finland, 150 kilograms. The bar is loaded.
With each one of these openers successful, they secure their total and then can build from there in their second and third attempts. Lauri Lindberg of Finland, 150 kilos.
17.5 kilos beneath his personal best. And makes it look like an empty barbell. He has made some big progress in the gym, I can already tell. But what do you expect from a 15-year-old where the rate of adaptation is crazy high?
Yeah, absolutely. We often see sub-juniors surpass their max, even on their opener here. And maybe we'll see a slightly larger jump from him. Could potentially, with a Hail Mary, put himself onto the platform, but I'm just getting ahead of myself there. There are so many more deadlifts to go first. And we have Georgi Gelashvili, sorry, of Georgia, 155 kilos. So lots of G's in that name.
Not easy.
But
And
that
made
deadlift was.
very easy.
And a good lift.
Now Mohamed Al Zahid from Saudi Arabia, 162.5. The bar is loaded.
We have Mohammed Al Zahid of Saudi Arabia, 162.5 kilos for his opening attempt. One of our now 4 contenders for podium.
A bit heavier than the others, but still an easy attempt. And that's 3 white lights, a good lift.
Yeah, and generally sumo, you do need to be a little bit more patient off of the ground, and then you are rewarded with a slightly snappier lockout. But until we see lifters' second attempts, usually it's hard to see, you know, what their deadlift is like. For example, like you said earlier, Panna is very good at making it look hard all the way through, but getting the attempts nonetheless. We have Farhad Arifai of Kuwait now, 165 kilos.
And again, a snappy lockout. An easy deadlift attempt. 3 white lights, a good lift.
Fahad Al Refai. Now we're heading for Farouk Tuna Oskan for 165 kilograms. The bar is loaded. Next, Tadze Andrea, followed by Valet
We
Kilian.
now have Farouk Tuna Özkan of Turkey, 165 kilos for his opening attempt. Very much still in the race for that gold medal. Little trouble at lockout there. Yeah, unfortunately gets called for downwards movement just at the top. So if we rewatch that here, super speedy off of the ground. And then just as we get here, knocks a little bit before he locks it out. The speed is clearly there, but that will damage him, reattempting that on his second, should he choose to, in the race for first. Andrea Mikotadze, Georgia, 170 kilos. The heaviest opener in the sub-juniors.
Makes it look easy. Was the heaviest opener for the sub-juniors, but moved it quite well.
Valet Kilian from France with 180 kilograms on the bar. In his first attempts in this deadlift.
Our final 2 deadlifts coming from the juniors now. And a little bit sneaky because they both moved this up, so clearly wanted to fool their competitors. But both had the same idea. First up we have Kylian Valette of France, 180 kilos for his opening attempt.
Made it look very easy.
Yeah, that was a lovely looking opener.
There is some room left in the tank, I'll tell you that.
And 3 white lights, a good lift. And he's going to want that room because Georgiescu, I'm sure, will be fighting him for a deadlift medal. And is catching up to him. Can't make any mistakes because Andrei Georgiescu is trying to catch up. 190 kilos for his opener.
A bit slower as his competitor, but still a very nice looking opener.
Yeah, really tidy, and considering he competed just a few days ago in the equipped, is doing so well.
47.5 kilograms. Next, Loteri. After that, Oskan.
And that concludes our opening attempts. Everybody bar Özkan in the sub-juniors has managed to secure their total, but he has another shot of it here on his second First up, we have Gavin Marg of the United States, 147.5 kilos, a 5 kilo jump from his opener.
It was more work than his opener, but it looks good. The referees agree. 3 white lights.
Now, Derek made a mistake at 152.5 kilograms. The bar is loaded. Next, Khan, followed by Jelashvili.
Derek Lee of the United States, jumping 7.5 kilos to 152.5 for his second attempt.
7.5 kilos below his personal best. And it is too heavy today.
Yeah, unfortunately a no lift. It seemed glued to the floor, and in classic lifting, you know, you can't really hide behind the confusion of equipment going wrong. That has to be a strength issue.
The bar is loaded.
Now we have Faruk Tuna Özkan of Turkey. Missed 165 kilos in his opener. It wasn't a strength issue. He just got called for downwards movement. So hoping to retake it now and get it. Secure himself a total.
Trying not to get stuck on that sticky point. One smooth movement. And he does it. It was almost too quick. And that was a completely different deadlift.
Yeah, and 2 to 1, a good lift. Like you said, sometimes when a lift moves so well, you get a bit of a speed wobble at the top, which can cause you to tip forward or some downwards movement. But he did a good job there of really stopping the bar from moving back down again. And it is a good lift. He secured his total. We now have 165 kilos for Georgi Jelashvili of Georgia. A 10 kilo jump from his opener. Looking to extend his lead overall.
Jelashvili made his hips rise a little bit before his pull. His technique changed a bit in comparison to his opener. Do you reckon that will be a bit more of a problem with his third when the weight get heavier?
Well, the 10 kilos didn't seem to bother him with that change, so I'm hoping it doesn't with a third attempt, but he is slowly building a gap between him and his competitors. Now we have Lori Lindberg of Finland, who opened on 150 and jumped 20 kilos to 170, which is a huge jump for this weight class.
Wow!
And it did not slow him down one bit.
Again, looked like an empty barbell. I wonder if he's going to load what he needs to load for first place position overall.
I think it's entirely possible based off of the fact that his 150 and 170 looked identical. He's put in for 175, so maybe his drop-off is quickly, but he still has a chance to change that after seeing how his competitors get on.
I reckon he will change it. But, of course, he can also go for silver position.
Time will tell. First, we have Mohammed Al-Zahid of Saudi Arabia, jumping 10 kilos to 172.5 on his second attempt.
Just 5 kilos shy of his personal best. Let's see if he can move this. And it's slow but steady. It was work, but the referees say it's a good lift, 3 white lights.
Andrea Mikhail, that's it. Now, we're welcoming
Yeah, and of course there's that famous
the default system
fairy tale of the rabbit and the
Andrea Mikhail,
hare,
that's it from Georgia at
and I think that's a
177.5
good
kilograms.
allegory for powerlifting. Sometimes
The
you
bar
just
is
want to
loaded.
slow down, build your
Andrea Mikhail,
total, and
that's
not
it
go
from
too
Georgia.
fast too soon.
Next, Rifai Fahad, followed by Valeri Kilian.
We now have Andrea Mikhautadze of Georgia jumping 7.5 kilos to 177.5.
This will take him from second to first place in the deadlift event so far. But no, it was too heavy.
Andrea Mikhail, that's
And he
it.
looks very disappointed,
We're welcoming
but I'm
Fahad
sure he
Rifai,
will be back in the third round
180 kilograms
to
from
give it
Guatemala.
another go.
The bar is
And
loaded.
we are
Next, Kilian
proceeding to
Valente,
the
followed
3
by
last
Georges Poindray.
lifters in the second group, the 3 juniors. And we are going to Fahad Al Frayfi from Kuwait with 180 kilos on the bar.
And he locks it out a little bit hard there towards the top, but he did jump 15 kilos. 3 white lights, a good lift. He's trying to keep up with Georgescu and Bayet and doing a great
180
job.
kilograms fighting for the gold in deadlifts. The bar is loaded. Next, Georges Poindray, followed by the third attempt section.
He's given a little nod. Yeah, I got this.
We now have Kylian Valette of France jumping 10 kilos to 190 for his second attempt.
A little roar. A bit more work, but still some room in the tank, I guess.
Yeah, especially if he can grind that last pull, but really quick off the floor. A little trickier at lockout for that deadlift, but
Now, Andrei
still
Georgescu
looking
from
good.
Romania, 182.5 kilograms.
But I think
Next, the
he's
third
already
attempt
secured
starting with
first
the
place.
deadlift and followed by Meg Gabin.
We now have a conservative jump from Andrei Georgescu of Romania, 2.5 kilos. The first moved so well, I'm wondering if this was tactical or whether they missed putting the attempt slip in. As if you miss the attempt, it automatically goes up 2.5 kilos. But let's see how this moves, and I'm sure it will tell us. No, actually, I think that was the right choice. I think that was a purposeful decision. And it is a good lift.
Georgescu from Romania. Now, starting the third attempt from this section. We're starting with the deadlift from the United States with 152.5 kilograms on the bar, close to his max. And next, it's Gavin Mang with
That moves us through to the
152.5,
third attempts of
followed by
deadlifts.
Gelashvili Georgi at 170.
And this is where it will all
Bar
unfold.
is loaded.
We start off with Derek Lee of the United States, 152.5 kilos, missed it on his second on what seems like strength. Coming back out for it now. Can he move it any better than before?
The clock ticks, 30 seconds left. glued to the floor.
Yeah, unfortunately just too heavy, and it takes a lot of mental fortitude to come out and prepare yourself to try lift it again anyway, when you know it just didn't shift the last time.
Well, he gave it his all.
Yeah, 100%, and a valiant effort it was, but just too heavy. Gavin Marg, now of the United States, 152.5 kilos for his third and final attempt.
He's fighting.
Wow, a fantastic last pull there. Fight to the end, and a good lift.
Now welcoming Jordi Gelashvili with 170 kilograms on the bar. Next, Al-Zahid Farway Mikautadze.
We now have 170 kilos being loaded onto the bar for Georgi Gelashvili of Georgia. This will pull him into deadlift bronze for the time being and give him a considerable lead. He is increasing the gap, making it harder for Ozcan and Lindberg to catch up on their final pull.
He locks it out. And that is a 3 white light good lift. And I think he has secured his position.
Al-Zahid from Saudi Arabia with 175 kilograms on the bar. Next
I
is
don't see
Mikautadze
anyone
Farway.
coming from behind. They
Yeah.
can still catch him.
They'd have to do a pretty big Hail Mary last deadlift to catch him there. And I mean, Lindberg's did look good, but not sure if he's got that much of a jump in him. But we will see how it unfolds. For now, we have Mohammed Al-Zahid of Saudi Arabia, 175 kilos. This will put him into silver overall and deadlift gold for the time being.
And that is just a bit too much. Unfortunately for him, but we have still 2 more sub-juniors to go.
Sorry, no lift for Al-Zahid.
3, I'm sorry.
Now we're having Andrea Mikautadze. The bar is loaded at 175.5 kilograms. Next, Lindberg, followed by Ozcan.
We now have Andrea Mikatadze of Georgia, retaking 177.5 kilos, missed it on his second, and perhaps not reattempting it on his third. I can't see him coming out. Just letting the clock time down for his competitors here. The sportsmanship-like thing to do. It's not a huge flight, so obviously giving them that extra minute to rest. And in the meantime, as I did before, I would like to give a shout out to our main sponsors, Aleco and SPD. Without them, none of this would be possible. The singlets, the comp rat, the platform, all of it, and all they do and give back to the sport. We're very grateful. None of this would be possible. The time has run
A
out,
solid weight and no lift for
and we will prepare the bar now for our next lifter.
Mikautadze. Now we're
The weight on the bar will
Lauri
stay the
Lindberg,
same
177.5.
for Lori Lindberg of Finland. He's not changed the weight. He's pulling this to pull into silver overall, not trying the Hail Mary for gold, but rather wants the silver. We'll put him in deadlift gold overall.
But Ozcan can still catch him. for second place. And he did it. He pulled it. He has 3 white lights. Good lift. But now his competitor, Özkan, can still catch up.
And we will see that unfold right now. If Özkan is to get his next lift, they will end on the same total. But Özkan being 700 grams lighter, he will take silver over Lindberg. It's a 15 kilo jump from his second. Farouk Tuna Özkan missed 165 on his opener on a downward movement call, got it on his second, and has now jumped for 180 kilos to pull him into silver place overall and deadlift gold. If he doesn't get this, he does not land on the podium. All or nothing.
His second attempt was really snappy, but is 15 kg still in the tank?
And it looks like it is.
He can hold it. He
let-
screams.
And that is a good lift. He pulls himself into silver place ahead of Lindberg on body weight. And we knew it would be close right until the end.
With a gold medal in the deadlift event.
We just have 3 deadlifts left before we conclude this evening's session, the first classic session of the championships. And first up, we have Farhad Arafai of Kuwait, 192.5 kilos, a 12.5 kilo jump. And this will pull him into deadlift gold for the time being, with Georgescu and Valette to follow. And it's moving, but unfortunately, it was just too much. And with 180 looking a little bit difficult, I think it was a bit of a long shot, but he doesn't lose anything by doing that. And we have had a last-minute attempt change. We've had Valette of France move down to 200 kilos. He's already walking away. And we've had another attempt change. We've had Georgescu drop to 202.5 kilos, so they're battling for the deadlift gold now. Valette already has gold overall, but they're gonna fight for this last medal that they can. Georgescu is slightly heavier, so needs the extra 2.5 kilos should Valette make his third pull. Who will get the deadlift gold medal? We find out very shortly. Kylian Valette of France is first, a 10 kilo jump to 200 kilos for his final attempt. The second one wasn't easy, so let's see if he's got 10 more kilos in him. It's moving. Can he finish it? He locks it out. And wow. That is a good lift. He pulls himself into gold place for deadlift. And only one person can take that from him. And he is coming up now. We have Andrei Georgescu of Romania jumping 10 kilos to 202.5 to take the deadlift gold off of Valette. He's already in the silver place. He does not lose anything by going for this. Should he pull this, he will walk away with deadlift gold. It's moving, it's moving, it's stuck. And Yeah, it's just too much for him today, but such a fantastic effort, and he loses nothing but by trying. And that concludes our first classic session of the championships. And what a session it was. We will be going through to our medal ceremony very shortly. And here you can see where we end up for deadlifts. In the 53 kilo sub-juniors in gold, we have Faruk Tuna Özkan of Turkey. In silver, Lori Lindberg of Finland. And in bronze, Mohammed Al-Zahid of Saudi Arabia. In the juniors, we have Kylian Valette of France. In gold, Andrei Georgescu of Romania in silver, and Fahad Al-Rafai of Kuwait in bronze. And overall in the sub-juniors, your champion is Georgi Gelashvili of Georgia. In silver, we have Faruk Tuna Özkan of Turkey, and in bronze, we have Lori Lindberg of Finland. And in the juniors, in gold, we have Kylian Valette of France, Andrei Georgescu of Romania in silver, and Fahad Arifai of Kuwait in bronze. Thank you for watching. We'll be going through to the medal ceremony very shortly. See you tomorrow for the next session.
I will start with medals for the squats in minus 53 kilograms sub-juniors category. And we'll start with Faruk Tuna Osman from Turkey. On the third place, bronze medal with 137.5 kilograms. And on the second place, we're welcoming Lauri Lindberg from Finland with 140 kilograms for the second place and silver medal. And for the first place from Georgia with 142.5 kilograms, Georgi Gelashvili, the world champion in squats sub-juniors, minus 53 kilograms. Congratulations for your results, and let's welcome the bench press awards. Now, Faruk Tuna Osman from Turkey, third place, bronze medal with 92.5 kilograms. Al-Zahid Mohammed from Saudi Arabia, 95 kilograms, the second place and silver medal. And first place from Georgia, Georgi Gelashvili, 110 kilograms. Congratulations, and let's get to the deadlift awards. Now we're welcoming Mohammed Al-Zahid from Saudi Arabia, 172.5 kilograms for the third place and bronze medal. Next we'll have Lauri Lindberg from Finland with 177.5 kilograms. And for the first place we have Faruk Tuna Osman from Turkey with 180 kilograms, the best deadlift in minus 53 kilograms sub-juniors category in the Worlds of Cluj-Napoca 2023. Thank you, and let's head to the total ceremony. And for the totals, we'll be having Lauri Lindberg from Finland for the third place and bronze medal. Next, we're having Faruk Tuna Osman from Turkey for the second place and silver medal in the totals. And for the first place and world champion in minus 53 kilograms sub-juniors, we'll have Georgi Gelashvili from Georgia with 422.5 kilograms in total. Please all raise for the national anthem of Georgia. Please all stand up and read. Congratulations for all the hard work today. We are moving for the minus 53 kilograms juniors category, and we're starting with squats. We'll have Andrei Georgescu from Romania with 147.5 kilograms for the third place and bronze medal. With the same weight but lower body weight, we have Fahad Al-Rafai from Kuwait for second place and silver medal. And for first place, we're welcoming Kylian Valette from France with 167.5 kilograms. Congratulations, and let's get to the bench press ceremony. Well, we have Fahad Al-Rafai from Kuwait on third place with 87.5 kilograms. Bronze medal for Fahad Al-Rafai. We're having Andrei Georgescu from Romania on second place. Silver medal with 95 kilograms. And we'll have Kylian Valette from France on the first place. Gold medal with 105 kilograms. Now we're heading for the deadlift ceremony. And we're having Fahad Al-Rafai from Kuwait on the third kilograms. We'll have Andrei Georgescu on the second place with 192.5 kilograms. And Kylian Valette from France with the 200 kilograms on the first place and gold medal in the minus 23 kilogram juniors deadlift competition. Now we're preparing to have the total ceremony. And for the totals, we'll have Fahad Al-Rafai from Kuwait. Third place, bronze medal totals 415 kilograms. We'll have second place, Andrei Georgescu from Romania, 435 kilograms. And for the first place and gold medal, here is Kylian Valette from France, 47.245 kilograms. The world champion of minus 53 kilograms juniors category in 2023 in Bruges, Romania. Please all raise for the national anthem of France. Congratulations everyone for all your efforts today. That was today's competition. See you tomorrow with more energy and more interesting competition results.